Hello, and welcome to Use Code Jam's online bits and bytes lessons. Today we're going to be finishing up our cybersecurity escape room challenge with our last escape room, where we learn about encryption and decryption and then try to decode a secret message. Before we get too far into this, I want to remind you that there is extra materials for this one. On our website, there's this activity sheet, or really this materials sheet with the cipher wheels on it. If you have the ability to, you can download and print this out and then cut out each of these circles. And you can use those as your cipher wheel, or you can just follow along on the PowerPoint. So if you need to, go ahead and pause this video and resume it once you've printed it out. I'm going to move on with the lesson. Okay, so we need to start off with, what is encryption? It's a pretty big word. Maybe we haven't heard it, but maybe we have. So a formal definition is that encryption is the process of converting data into code to prevent unauthorized access. So all that means is that we might take a word or a phrase and turn it into unrecognizable code, and then if somebody tries to access that information, let's say it's somebody gets access to your bank account and they're trying to get your address for some reason. If that's encrypted, then they probably won't be able to get your address because it won't look like anything. And just same for getting into your account. Your password gets encrypted, so if somebody tries to access it and it's not right, it's not going to let them in. What happens here is that during this process, there is something called a secret key, or another piece of code that will allow that encrypted data, so like your password, to be encrypted and decrypted as needed. So when it needs to decrypt is when you're typing in your password for an account, and it needs to see if that password matches what it has on file. So that is a process where it might be decrypted to check, or your password that you're typing in might be encrypted to see if it matches matches what's already in the database. So what is it used for? We use it for passwords, we use it to encrypt usernames, we use it to keep social security numbers safe, our debit and credit cards safe, so your debit and credit card number and your security number on there are safe. There's probably other things we can think of. How is something encrypted? So I talked about this a little bit earlier. Basically, a phrase or a word or whatever the information is that you're putting in is going to be run through a program. There's a key within that program that is determined by the programmer that's going to determine how it gets encrypted. And depending on the program, this can be a very simple, fast process, or it can be very complex. Usually the more complex the encryption process, the safer your data is going to be, because it's the stronger encryption. It might have gone through more steps to become encrypted than what we would do today. Today's activity is going to be pretty simple. So our activity today is going to be using a Caesar Cipher to encrypt and decrypt some messages. So like I said, it's very simple because all we're working with here is the alphabet, and so it's very easy to brute force or basically try out every possible key to see what the encryption was. But that's okay because it's fun anyways, and it's good practice. And your little history tidbit is that this was named for Julius Caesar, who allegedly used this to send secret military messages during battles or military campaigns. So let's talk about the Caesar Cipher. So with the Caesar Cipher, you start off with our regular alphabet, so this one here in purple. And then you can shift the alphabet left or right by however many letters you want. So that difference is the key. And then you end up with our encrypted alphabet. So in this example, I shifted the alphabet to the left by 4, which means E became my first letter of the alphabet in orange, and D became my last letter. This is now the orange is the encrypted alphabet. So if I want to encrypt a word, we're going to go from purple to orange. If I want to decode a word, so encode a word, we go from purple to orange. And then if I want to decode a word, we're going to go from orange to purple. So I have a couple examples here. So if I wanted to encode cat, I would start at the purple C, because that's our regular alphabet, and I would look for its corresponding spot on our shifted alphabet. So that would be G. And then, like we said before, A is E. And then finally, T is X. So we end up with GEX as our encoded phrase for cat. And then if I want to work backwards, I would go from orange to purple up here. So H corresponds to D. So I'd write D down. S corresponds to O. And K corresponds to G. So HSK is decoded to be dog. And that's all we're going to do today. You're going to get a chance to practice. So this is where you'll need your cipher wheels. Like I said, I have a solution to this on the screen if you're not able to print it out, but if you are, I definitely encourage you to print these and cut them out. How we're going to use these is you're going to place the small circle inside of the large circle, and we're going to keep practicing with our key of 4. So what that means is that you need to line up A with E. I know it says 5 and that looks weird, but trust me, this is right. So D should be lined up with Z as much as possible, and E should be lined up with A as much as possible. Okay. So using this, so you can use this wheel or you can use the one that you printed out. Just make sure E and A, the outside A here on the big circle should line up with the E and the little circle, because we're still using a key of 4. And you're going to decode this message over here. It looks funny. There's no vowels. Starts with a G, ends with an R, and it's 3 words. So you can take a second and pause this video and try and figure this out. Okay, so if you've taken a minute or so to figure this out, that's great. The answer to that is coding is fun, is what you should get when you decode this. So this whole gibberish here that means nothing is coding is fun when we decode it. So now that you've had some practice, your challenge is you will decode a message by yourself. And ignore these instructions, you guys aren't going to be submitting. But you're going to decode this message over here. And don't worry about the punctuation. You won't decode that. That will just stay where it is. But you're going to decode this message right here. You can see that this I, this is a lowercase I. Over here, this is a lowercase l. So these are both lowercase l's right here in this big long word. So you're going to decode that. And once you're done, the answer you should get is, we need to escape. So you should get, I'm a decoding pro once you're done with that activity. And that is it for our cybersecurity activities. Would love to get feedback from you guys on what you thought of these. This digital literacy component is new. Next time it will be something completely different, but we are working on making these fun and doing a mix of offline and online activities. But it will be a little bit of time before we get back to digital literacy. Next week we will start a unit using the Snap block coding program. So we're going to go back to coding for a couple weeks. I hope to see you guys all there. If you're not sure how to do the live session, you just come to our webpage, youthcodejam.org. Go to Jam at Home Virtual Activities, and then go to Bits and Bytes Online. And up here we will have the current series and information about it posted. And underneath that is going to be this register for a live session. Go ahead and click that button and you can sign up. It's free to come to these things. They're a lot of fun in person. They're more fun than just working online with the video. It's from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Time, so it's after your classes are done for the day. Even if you're online, they're probably done. But yeah, they're really fun, and we encourage you guys to sign up and come to them.